For the Brawlers, 2022 meant a lot. For someone, this year was full of good days. But for Colette, it was the worst year in her life, because they quarreled with Edgar. Do you know why? Due to the fact that Edgar gave her little time and attention, didn't walk with her. Recently he was at the fights and Colette worked alone in a souvenir shop. She missed him. He appeared in the stores once a week and then Colette didn't talk to him, and the guy didn't understand what it was connected with. One day, when Edgar came to the store, he decided to have a serious conversation with Colette. She was silent and didn't say anything, but Edgar continued to insist on a serious conversation. As a result, the girl told about her dissatisfaction and asked her boyfriend to give her more time. So that they go out for a walk together and he comes to work with her at least 3 times a week. Edgar said he couldn't do as Colette wanted. He was fighting to save up for a house for them behind the ring. But Colette was already tired of putting up with it. She doesn't need any house, she needs attention and care from Edgar. She told him not to show up at home or in the store anymore. Let him go where he wants, but don't let her see his face. Edgar angrily said that he wouldn't return to her anymore, save up for a house and leave the ring. Colette slapped him. Edgar didn't allow anyone to beat him, but he endured this and left the store. He didn't want to stay in the ring anywhere, and in general the guy was so angry that he walked away from the stakes. After leaving the open space of the ring, Brawler was looking for a place where he could spend the night. So he got into one cave. Nothing like unusual. The guy decided to stay here for a while. What Colette did really shook Edgar's opinion on himself. He lay down on the ground to fall asleep and forget today's horror, when suddenly a snake began to crawl towards him. He didn't notice it and tried to sleep with his eyes closed, but seconds later the snake bit Edgar, which caused him to cry out and stand up and see the snake. Lost consciousness. The next morning, Edgar opened his eyes. He didn't remember anything at all. Everything that happened yesterday was a mystery to him. He got up and didn't understand how he ended up in the cave. Brawler came out there and returned the Colette's gift shop. She was very scared when she saw him because Edgar's eye color changed. He became different. The girl was still angry at him and started yelling at him to go away and not infect her. Edgar didn't remember anything. The owner of the store, Griff, came, and seeing Edgar he said that he looked terrible. What had become of him? The guy didn't understand anything himself, and Griff said that until he recovered, he wouldn't work in a souvenir shop. Edgar left there and decided to go home to sleep. Maybe this way he would come to his senses and recover. At home, he went to bed and immediately fell asleep. With the passage of 12 hours, he opened his eyes and felt very good, even better than before. The fighter got up and looked at himself in the mirror. The color of his skin became different. Instead of everything returning, he changed even more, although all his senses sharpened. He began to see better, feel and hear. The guy seemed to have become stronger. His sense of smell was flavorless. Edgar immediately remembered how the day before yesterday he quarreled with Colette and went to the caves, where he was bitten by a snake. So that's what happened to him. It's good that Colette isn't at home. He needs to leave urgently. He still didn't want to talk to her. Edgar was drawn to that cave and he decided to return there. So he reached the place where he was bitten by a snake. It was good for him here, as suddenly 2 snakes began to crawl in front of him, one of which bit him. He was very angry at what they had done to him, and Edgar mercilessly killed both snakes. I don't even know if he did the right thing. He sat down next to him. He had nowhere to go, and then he felt some kind of connection. Something was happening to him, and so he decided to stay here. Brawler spent about a month and a half in this cave. During this time, Colette began to miss him very much. He didn't show up anywhere and she was wondering where her boyfriend had gone. They lived together and he didn't show up at home. She searched for him all over the arena, but there was not a single trace. He has not been going to fights for 45 days. Did Edgar go outside the arena? Colette decided to check it out and behind the ring she came across a cave. The girl went in there and saw some frightening person. She wanted to escape, but Edgar smelled her and turned to see who came. Colette saw his face and froze. What happened to Edgar? His nails grew over, he changed his outfit, and he attached those killed snakes to his back and could control them. He called himself Orochi Edgar. Colette asked, what happened to him? He told her the whole story. She was shocked and told him to go home. She forgave him a long time ago and missed him very much. The guy replied that the cave was now his home and he couldn't leave. Colette asked, why? Because Edgar felt that he would soon become a snake himself. His body didn't stop turning. Every day he changed and changed. Colette was ready to accept it. She returned to the arena and came to Byron, where she told him everything from A to Z. Will he be able to stop Edgar from turning into a snake? He said it was possible, but it would take a lot of time, and another hair of Edgar. Colette brought him the right hair and Byron started working. 7 days later, the antidote was ready. It was in a flask. The girl brought it to Edgar and gave it to him to drink. He was already barely thinking and lost the power of speech, but after drinking the irrepressible Brawl lost consciousness. When he woke up, he was already at home and Colette was standing over his head. Edgar felt good. Won't he become a snake? What about his face? Colette explained anything. As Byron said, the transformation was over, but what had happened before could not be reversed. The fighter is sad. He is no longer as handsome as before, but Colette said that she loves him and this. The main thing is that they are together again. She said she would let him spend more time fighting to buy them a house behind the ring. It's better this way than to quarrel, because their quarrel led to such results. They hugged each other and forgave. That's how Orochi Edgar appeared.